He turned his fists into concrete weapons, knocked his opponent out cold. When they unwrapped his hands after the fight, they found hardened plaster hidden inside his gloves. His opponent's face was so destroyed he could never box again. 9 months later, that fighter was dead. The cheater, he got suspended. But the result stood. He walked away with the win. Boxing is supposed to be about skill and discipline. But these 5 fighters decided the rules didn't apply to them. They cheated. They got caught. And somehow they still won. Let's start with the most devastating cheat in boxing history. Cheater number 5, Lewis Resto, the plaster gloves. June 16th, 1983, Madison Square Garden, Luis Resto versus Billy Collins Jr. Nobody gave Resto a chance. Collins was undefeated at 14-0. Resto was a journeyman with a losing record. This was supposed to be easy for Collins. Then the bell rang. From the first punch, Collins' face started swelling. By round 3, his eyes were nearly shut. By round 10, his face looked like it had been hit with a hammer. Resto won by decision. But after the fight, Billy Collins Sr. shook Resto's hand and felt something wrong. The glove padding felt too thin. He called over the inspectors. They examined the gloves and found the padding had been removed. Resto's hands were wrapped with hardened plaster of Paris. He turned his fists into clubs. Collins' face was so badly damaged that his retinas were torn and his eyes were permanently injured. Doctors told him he could never fight again. His career was over at 22. Resto and his trainer Panama Lewis were arrested. Lewis got 2 years in prison. Resto was banned for life, but the result was never overturned. Billy Collins Jr. officially lost that night. 9 months later, Collins died in a car crash that many believe was suicide. Luis Resto destroyed a man's life with plaster-loaded fists. He got caught. He went to prison, but the win still stands. At least Resto got caught immediately. The next fighter got away with his cheating for years. Cheater number 4, Antonio Margarito, the loaded raps. Antonio Margarito was known for breaking people's faces. In 2008, he fought Miguel Cotto for the WBA welterweight title. Cotto was one of the best boxers in the world, but that night Margarito beat him into a bloody mess. Cotto's face was swollen beyond recognition. After the fight, people whispered, "How could Margarito hit that hard?" The answer came a year later. January 24th, 2009. Margarito was about to fight Shane Mosley. Before the fight, Mosley's trainer watched the hand wrapping process and saw something suspicious. Margarito's trainer was inserting small, hard pads into the wraps. When inspectors examined the pads, they found calcium sulfate mixed with a hardening agent. Here's the scam. The wet pads would dry during the fight and harden into plaster-like knuckle protectors. By the middle rounds, Margarito was punching with rocks. The commission banned Margarito for 1 year, but what about his previous fights? Miguel Cotto publicly said he believes Margarito cheated in their 2008 fight. That result was never overturned. All of Margarito's wins stand. After his suspension, Margarito came back. He got a rematch with Cotto in 2010. Cotto destroyed him. Revenge was sweet, but the original injustice remains. Loaded raps are brutal. But what if you could cheat in plain sight and get away with it? Cheater number 3, Evander Holyfield, the headbutt master. Evander Holyfield is in the Hall of Fame. He's considered one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. But watch any Holyfield fight. He constantly ducks his head low and drives forward with his skull. Opponents get sliced open from accidental headbutts over and over. Referees give warnings, but rarely deduct points. The most famous example is his first fight with Mike Tyson in 1996. Holyfield headbutted Tyson repeatedly. In a round 3, a headbutt opened a massive gash above Tyson's eye. Blood poured down his face. Tyson complained to the referee. Nothing happened, no point deduction. The headbutts continued into the rematch. June 28, 1997. In round 2, Holyfield headbutted Tyson again, reopening the cut. Tyson snapped. In round 3, Tyson bit off a chunk of Holyfield's ear and spit it onto the canvas. The most infamous moment in boxing history. Tyson was disqualified and banned. But here's what people forget: Tyson was driven to that point by repeated, unpunished headbutts. Holyfield was never punished. He never had a win overturned. He's celebrated as a hero. But watch the footage. Holyfield built his Hall of Fame career partly on illegal headbutts that referees refused to call. Cheater number 2, Julio Cesar Chavez, Sr. hitting after the bell. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. is a Mexican legend and is considered one of the greatest boxers of all time. But there's a dark side to his legacy that nobody talks about. He built his career on hitting opponents after the bell. Watch any Chavez fight. Round after round, he would throw punches after the bell rang. Sometimes it was one extra punch. Sometimes it was a combination, and referees almost never did anything about it. The most infamous example is his 1990 fight against Meldrick Taylor for the WBC and IBF junior welterweight titles. Taylor was dominating the fight. He was faster, sharper, and winning on all three scorecards going into the final round. All he had to do was survive 2 more minutes and he'd be the champion. But in the 12th round, Chavez went to war. With seconds left in the fight, Chavez landed a flurry of punches that hurt Taylor badly. The referee stepped in and stopped the fight with just 2 seconds remaining. But here's what people forget. Before that final flurry, Chavez had been hitting Taylor after the bell throughout the entire fight. In round 2, he landed a massive right hand a full second after the bell. The referee gave a warning but took no points. Taylor's corner protested repeatedly. Chavez won by TKO with 2 seconds left. He became the champion, and his pattern of hitting after the bell continued for the rest of his career. He was never disqualified. He never had a win overturned. He's in the Hall of Fame. Hitting after the bell was just part of his style, and the refs let him get away with it. But at least you could see Chavez is cheating. The number 1 cheater on this list used something invisible that almost fooled everyone forever. Cheater number 1, Shane Mosley, the steroids. Shane Mosley was supposed to be one of the good guys. Sugar Shane. Clean image. And then the truth came out. In 2003, Mosley fought Oscar De La Hoya for 2 world titles. Leading up to the fight, people noticed Mosley looked different, huge, ripped, explosive power. He destroyed De La Hoya, winning by decision. It was the defining win of his career. 5 years later, the Balco steroid scandal broke. Victor Conti, who ran the lab, publicly stated he had given Shane Mosley EPO and undetectable steroids. Mosley denied it. He called Conte a liar. But in 2008, under oath in federal court, Mosley admitted the truth. He confessed he had taken steroids before the Oscar De La Hoya fight. The boxing world was stunned. And here's the ultimate injustice. Nothing happened. The California Commission didn't strip his titles. They didn't overturn the fight. They didn't suspend him. He kept all his prize money. He kept all his wins. Oscar De La Hoya calls it the biggest robbery of his career. He lost to a guy on steroids, and the result still stands. Mosley's excuse was he didn't know what his trainer was giving him. Shane Mosley is in the Hall of Fame. He admitted to taking steroids, and he faced 0 consequences. That's the number 1 cheat. Not because it was the most violent or shocking, but because it's the most unjust. He confessed. Everyone knows, and nothing was done. Shane Mosley cheated with steroids and kept his titles. But at least boxing has drug testing now. I just investigated the 5 old school boxing moves that are now illegal. Click the video on your screen right now. I'll see you there.